I'm going to talk about the Moda Cupcake recipes. There are 4 different variations. Now, if you've never heard of these, it's a recipe. And the recipe on here, this is recipe number 1. And with one of these patterns, so there's a pad full of them in here, there should be 42 of them, is telling me what blocks I can make with this. And each recipe card takes a 5.5-inch block, a 5-inch block. That's called a charm square. You put 2 of them together, you sew them, and I'm going to demo how that works. And with recipe number 1, I can make any of these blocks. So here's one I sewed earlier today. This is recipe number 3. Let me go back a bit. And you literally follow the line. So you put your fabrics right side together, and then you put the recipe card. This is made out of newsprint, so it's very lightweight. It's easy to stitch through. And then it has line number 1, and you stitch right through this line, needle up, then you stitch through this line. And it even has arrows on this. So we can see the arrows. Come back a bit. So it's telling me which way to sew. How easy is that? Needle up, and then it tells me to turn it around. Sew this way. It's even got the start here. And now I'm going to make some half square triangles, which some of us do not like to make. Start here. Here's line number 1. I stitch all the way up here. Needle up, move my fabric and the recipe card. I stitch all the way down here, needle up, and I repeat the process. How easy is that? It is absolutely brilliant. So you probably can't see my stitching on the back of that one. So I have this one ready to go. So there are 4 different recipe cards with the cupcake. Remember, the cupcake is for a charm pack. So number 1, so this one has a lot of half square triangles. So when you're stitching on paper, it's almost like paper piecing. You get very, very accurate. How cute is that? And Sandy decided that the orange would go on the outside. And you can audition these, so I could have had my orange going this way and that way. You decide which way it goes. But it will tell you on the front of this recipe card what combinations are possible with this package. Let's take a look at number 2. Oh, look, we have pinwheels made with half square triangles. Beautiful star. And just a standard one, standard block. Here's number 3. This is the one I've been experimenting with today. Almost looks like a Jacob's ladder. And so what we do is we have the 2 4 patches and then the 2 half square triangles. It's just the way you put it, right? Number 4. We have this block. I'm sorry, I don't remember all the names of these blocks. There's only like 5,000 different quilt blocks. There's a beautiful star. And thus, look how interesting that is. All depends on how you lay your fabrics. So your light and darks. Okay, so let me just grab something here. So from Moda, they have pre-cuts. So jelly rolls, we're all familiar with, are 2.5-inch strips. Jelly roll, that name is actually licensed to Moda. A charm square that fits the cupcake. So remember, a little cupcake, a little 5-inch bundle. Right? So these are beautiful marbles, right? These are actually what I would call my neutral colors. So I could actually put a pop of color with them. So I'd have pop of color, neutral, pop of color, neutral. And by the time you're done, you could have an entire table runner, like I need another one, done, right? And then you get some with some really cute as all get out. I always call these Kim's Cause story time, right? They remind me of the 1930s fabrics, so very much Lori Holt fabrics. So charm squares are 5.5 inch. Jelly rolls are 2.5 inch strips. So a 10-inch square is called a layer cake. See all the stuff you learn here? And because it's called a layer cake, these are called cake mix recipes for a 10-inch square. Cupcake when you want just a little square. A whole cake when you have a 10-inch square. Okay. And this one, we have 4 different combinations you can make. You decide how you want to lay them out. So the whole thing is that you're going to sew it together. It's kind of hard. Because they're made on newsprint, it's kind of hard to see. But they even have samples in here of how to make it. And you get really accurate piecing. So if you're having any challenges with your 1/4 inch and you're finding that your blocks are too small, try this and then you'll actually get some experience under your belt and you'll find that your piecing will be better. So here's some of the layer cakes we have here. Minnie Mouse. Some more from Maywood, Kim's Cause. So I just love these colors, right? It's probably why I love Lori Holt too, right? And oh, look at that gold. Ooh. Now that would make beautiful collage fussy cuts, right? You can tell I have collage on the mind right now. Okay. So I'm going to transfer the camera again and I'm just going to show you how to construct these. This one I have sewn. Okay. And I just followed the lines. I'm going to cut it apart and you will see what we have. The lovely Sandy lent me her rotary cutter. That is so lovely of her. And you cut on the solid lines. And because it's newsprint, it's very easy on your rotary cutter. I may have to sharpen Sandy's, put a new blade in Sandy's rotary cutter here. So when you're sewing these together, you need to increase your stitch length. Default is 2.5. It is recommended that you change it to 2. You need to have a shorter stitch because you're going through the paper and then you're going to be ripping off the newsprint. So I'm just going to add and trim this. Yeah, Sandy needs a new blade. And of course, whenever you get a layer cake or a charm square, they're always pinked on the edges so they don't unravel. Yes, and I would never wash a jelly roll. That's my opinion, because all you'd have left are threads. Cut that. Here's my little pieces. Okay. So I have a solid line right down the middle. So each sheet makes 4 2 patches and 4 half square triangles. And the important thing about using the cupcake mixes or the cake mixes from Moda is that it's done on newsprint, which is much easier to tear. if you use photocopy paper, you're going to go through a lot of needles. It's going to be really, really hard for you to take it off. So, okay. So I have some here cut. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to show you how to remove your paper from here. So you can see here's where my seam allowance is. So the most important thing you're going to do is fold it back. What you don't want to do is just rip it off, because what will happen is you may accidentally destroy your stitching. So I fold it back, kind of crease it, and in the middle I rip it, take off one side, take off the other side. Now by doing the seam allowance first, it just pops out. And there I have a beautiful two patch. Let's do that again. So seam allowance, just fold it over. It's just kind of like scoring it, right? Rip that off, and then pull that out. So let's do the half square triangles. Again, I just fold it over. Now, the first time I've done this, or the first time I did this, and I've done this a couple of times now, I just did a little 505 spray on the back because I didn't want the pattern, which was totally wrong to do, because then I couldn't get the paper off. So when you put the two right sides together and then you put the newsprint on top, it doesn't move. I don't know what I was thinking, but. So again, I rip it in the middle and then just tear it off. Tear it off, and it just pops out. And I have a perfect half square triangle. Woohoo! Just happen to have my iron hot here. So I always, whenever I'm doing piecing, right, I always press it flat. That's to set the seam. And then I use my fingernail. It was easier when I had fake nails. And by pressing the seam, it kind of sets it first, and then I press it open. There. So now I press towards the dark. I did not press these seams open because they're so little. Right? Put that together, and then I can decide on how I want my half square triangle, whether I want it. I could have it this way, I could have it this way, this way. So you're just playing with it until you find out one that you like. So Sandy selected this layout, so we have all pink in the middle. Now I did some earlier today with some of the fabrics that Moda had given us. And they're fairly busy fabrics, so you can't see the differentiation between the light and the dark. So they kind of all blend together. I got beautiful spinning on the back. Very proud of my spinning. Look at that little 4-patch in the back there. And therapeutic, yes. Yes, you could sew them, and watching TV, I'll do these. And then I take them up to the lake, which we should be opening up pretty soon. And then you sit outside, so as you rip them, they just kind of disintegrate when it rains. And Central Alberta is wonderful for raining. So I only did 4 of the papers. I have enough for, and I won't say a table runner, but I definitely have enough for a coaster. I could make a little table runner. You just have fun playing with them. I love these. When Anne had asked me about these, I was like, yes, give them to me, right? Yes, they're very therapeutic to cut. And because the lines are all on here, Super duper easy to follow. So if you have a whole bunch of half square triangles that you need to make, probably want to go with recipe number 2, because these are all half square triangles. And I want everybody to be safe, be kind, and be calm. It's a beautiful day out there, and I'll see everybody tomorrow.